I started to do more inner child work, and that's when I really saw that everything we perceive right now, if you've not done any work on it, is really perceived through that inner child. Being in that situation at 7 when someone told you, oh, you're too much, or you're too smart, you're too creative, don't laugh so loud, or whatever, whatever it was, or don't eat so much. Um, we still hear that voice.
Welcome to the podcast, Jetty Nieuwenhuis. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many things that I was just speaking with you, like that deeply resonate with, your story, and I think so many people will really relate to. And one thing I would love to get to is I know you talk about self-love, and this is something that really touched me with what you said. It's just like it felt so foreign. Like, how do we love ourselves? It feels so elusive. And I felt that myself too. It's like just love yourself, and it's almost like the more you try to force it, the more foreign it feels. Can you talk
Yeah.
about your journey with self-love and how it became something that you've been able to connect with a little bit more?
Yeah, it started like my journey started really in 2018 when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease in 2017. And so I became more aware of body and mind being connected. That was also a very foreign idea for
Mhm.
me, that my body is something and my mind is something and everything. And then, I started reading work from coaches and blogs and stuff, and everybody was talking about self-love. And yeah, I was indeed like, yeah, self-love, gotta love myself, but easier said than done. And when I did so many forms of therapy, and that's when I really started to learn that I had to accept all the ugly, dark parts of me.
Mhm.
That to me is self-love.
Mhm.
When once you acknowledge that all the shadows, the limiting beliefs, the traumas, that's when I just a few years ago I was like, okay, so this is self-love. Self-love is just uh, being non-judgmental to yourself, to those parts, and acknowledge them, and like, okay, yeah, this is all of me. And then also embracing everything, all the nasty things that for me personally I've been through, that embracing that and saying, yeah, that made me, this is who I am today, and because of all that. And to me, that is self-love.
Mhm. I so appreciate you sharing that and that acceptance of all parts because I think sometimes that can get lost in
Oh yeah.
the mainstream self-love. Like,
Yeah.
if self-love is taking yourself to the spa or self-love is
Yeah.
just giving yourself 5 minutes to sit, like, that can be part of it, but it's so
Yeah.
much deeper than that. And just having the compassion for all the things you've been through and knowing that like
Yeah.
you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. So it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's so profound. I appreciate you sharing that because I think we need to really just like amplify that message of like there are, quote, good things and bad things, even though that's not even everything is just good. Everything is just
Yeah.
there to support us, but just realizing that's part of our journey. Is there,
Yeah.
with your journey of like self-love and maybe having some challenges with that, is there anything you can see throughout your life or maybe in childhood that really made that maybe more challenging for you?
Well, I think what I just thought of is just really stepping out of that victim mentality.
Mhm.
That is self-love. Getting
Mhm.
out of that victim mentality. And I really grew up in a family that felt a victim of everything. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people feel that way. And I mean, we're both hoping we can change that, right? With sharing everything we share. And so that made it very hard. And it's then at some point it's meeting the right people.
Mhm.
And for me personally, when I moved to Canada, I grew up in the Netherlands, and I moved to Canada when I was 30. And so that made it really easier to uh, have a distance, create a distance between my past and that web of limiting beliefs and trauma and that victimhood. And I started to see that or realize that I'm the person making my own life, and that it's not by being a victim. And I must say that having the husband I met him when I was 21, which was a really good thing that happened to me because he was totally not a victim. He could see joy in the little things in life, like seeing a bird flying, and I couldn't. And so that was very helpful for me. But I think having the right people around you and sometimes moving to a different place can do wonders.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we're so immersed in it. It's like you're in a painting, you can't see the
Yeah,
painting for what it is
yeah.
because
Oh,
you're too
absolutely.
far in it. It's like that
Yeah,
distance
yeah,
gives you a clearer picture. Yeah,
yeah,
it's such a huge transition when you think life is happening to you versus life
yeah,
is happening
yeah,
for you, and you can just see everything through a different lens once you start
yeah,
that epiphany.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think also, I mean, not everybody can move to a different place or country or whatever, but I think that's why travel is also so good, because then you can step away from your life and have a distance and take a different look at it. And I think always therapy and getting coaches and is so important. Like that has been so life changing for me. Like
Yeah.
really.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why we're all here. It's like to help each other. And it's like
Yes.
you have that more objective view. You can remove yourself when you can see yourself through someone else's lens. And that's
Yeah.
really, really beneficial. Were
Yeah.
you always open to receiving help, or was that something you had to learn as well?
I had to learn that. I had
Mhm.
a huge shame around that. I remember I grew up in a dysfunctional family, and I there was a stigma around psychologists and also forms of therapy. I remember going to therapy when I was 21, and I was afraid someone would see my bicycle outside of the building because I was living in the Netherlands. And I stopped that because I felt such a blanket of heaviness of that, oh, I'm weak. What would other people say? And when I was in my 30s, my parents passed away because they were really old when they had me. And that is when I started to my first shifts. And that's also when the online world opened a little bit. So that's when I did my first online course around eating disorder. I had an eating disorder. And so that's when I shifted, and that's when I started to see the value and letting go of the shame. And right now I would just recommend it for everyone because it just makes you healthy and it makes this world healthier and more loving.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like when you can start to just invest in yourself, I think so many of us like almost struggle through it, think like
Yeah,
normalize it or
yeah,
feel like, how am I ever going to get out of this? Because sometimes we feel
yeah,
so deepened in it, but
yeah,
it is absolutely possible, yeah, to get out
yeah,
of that and really feel. And I think it's like once you start experiencing those shifts, you realize like even the door that felt like it was shut is just cracking
yeah.
a little bit. You start to
Oh
see,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah, yeah,
possible.
yeah,
And you talked about the eating disorder. Something I can very much relate to. I had an eating disorder for many years as myself, and it's like those messages of like you're not enough and
yeah.
do more and mold yourself. Can you talk about your journey of that? Of like what were some of the messages you were telling yourself, and where are you now in that?
Yeah, it started really when I was 7, and
Mm,
I had older sisters, and they were always talking about their imperfect thighs. So I started to believe my thighs were imperfect at the age of 7, and they always talked about diets. They were doing diets, and it had such an imprint on me that I already felt big when I was 7. And when I look back on that particular photo, I looked like totally normal. What is normal? Everything is normal, but I perceive myself differently. And so when I was 16, I started my first diet, counting calories. I bought my calorie book and starving myself. And at 18, my bulimia started. A friend moved away already to university, and I was behind. And I think it was this abandonment wound that I felt all my life. And that's when that started. And I've struggled with bulimia on and off, like over years. Stressful periods would make it worse. And then diets would make it worse. Diet, get really skinny, and then the body was craving
Yeah. Ebbs and
food,
flows.
nutrition. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I was the yo-yo.
Yeah.
And so when my dad passed away at 37, I really, something clicked like, hey, this is not normal. My husband knew all the time, but of course he couldn't help me. Like he was the only one who knew. And that's when I started to get help. At 40, my bulimia was gone. And I went to a local health uh, psychologist, it was, who diagnosed me. And that was very helpful. That's the first time I met my inner child,
Mm-hmm.
asking for the help of her mother. And then until 50, I kept on trying all these diets. I had Lyme disease during some of those years too. So I was doing all these clean diets, which made it only worse, the binge eating.
Yeah.
And at 51, I went to the south of France and Paris by myself after COVID. I was like, okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And then I saw women eat like normal, enjoying food. And when I was like, that's what I want. And then I worked with a registered dietitian to work on really food freedom, more body positive. Of course, I gained weight, then the weight that I never wanted. And I had to accept that because I knew, I know that I can't go on any diet ever again.
Mhm.
And so that has become easier. I think as people, we always want instant results, and it's just been a gradual journey of the food freedom and normalizing my body, and yeah, just every day a little bit more. So I'm doing good with
Mhm.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such like it's hard to even like and to think until you do some healing, it's like you can feel so like how is there anything other than this? Like how do you
Mhm.
possibly have a healthy relationship with food? And it's like to see the
Yeah.
example that it can exist and then to try to embody that and feel like that's my reality. It can be a really big challenge. And I think it's something once you're aware of that and you have these patterns, you can see it for what it is. And I think a big thing is like when you're in it, you shame yourself for every little thing. Like
Yeah.
I did too much, I
Yeah.
did too little. And
Yeah.
then I know you talked about the inner child healing. Was it that shift of like, I'm just gonna love myself through it. I'm gonna comfort myself through it. Like, can you talk about that inner child healing of what was the role of
Ye-
that?
Yeah, oh, that inner child is huge because
Mhm.
everything we do, well, at 40, that was my first meeting her.
Mhm.
And closer to my 50s, I started to do more inner child work. And that's when I really saw that everything we perceive right now, if you've not done any work on it, is really perceived through that inner child. Being in that situation at 7 when someone told you, oh, you're too much, or you're too smart, you're too creative, don't laugh so loud, or whatever, whatever it was, or don't eat so much. um, we still hear that voice, and all through that your life. I mean, the inner child can be 15 too. The inner child can also be 21.
Mhm.
I have gone back with inner child healing through many situations, even coming to Canada as a 30-year-old young mother, being challenged. And just going back into into those situations. Imagine you're back there touching the pain that has been life-changing. Like, and also just knowing that, like, I really know now that I'm really a blank slate. I can think whatever I want,
Mhm.
really. Of course,
Yeah.
I have fears and limiting beliefs, but I know that I'm the one who put it on me.
Absolutely. And it's like so empowering when you realize it that even though those things happened and you didn't invite them into your life or you had no control over it, you can always go back and give it a different
Yeah,
meaning and comfort that
yeah,
version of you. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing when you do that. It's like what comes up because you're like, why is that even a thing? That wasn't a big deal. But to maybe
yeah,
a 6-year-old version of you that only had a limited capacity at that time, that could be huge. And so
yeah,
it's like having that compassion for that version of you that maybe didn't have the resources that this
yeah,
version of you now has. So it's
yeah. Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, there's also so much power too. I don't know if you've experienced this, but like I find that going to like the future version and then comforting me in my current experiences can be really comforting too, of like what would the wiser, more worldly version of myself say to
yeah.
myself now. So it's
Oh,
amazing how
that's a
you
good
can
one.
like, yeah, like
Yeah,
time warp
yeah,
and go back
yeah,
to whatever stage you want to in your timelines.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
profound. Yeah.
yeah.
I would love to go into trusting yourself because this can be a big thing too. Like when we have, maybe have had abandonment wounds or we have shut down our inner voice and listened to the external world for defining us. Can you talk about the journey of self-trust and how that's played a role in your evolution?
Yeah, well, I was a huge control freak.
Mhm.
I would say, of course, with my eating disorder. And I think in my family too, where I grew up, and that was the way I survived, by
Mhm.
controlling certain things. And having trust in something outside of you well, inside of me then, was really gradually over the journey, once I started to heal more, because trust is also such a loose word, like self-love, right? How
Totally.
can you trust? And what has been important to me is like looking back on little things that I did. I did improve my life so much. Like, as a child, I knew this is not how I want to live. Like, I knew there was more for me, and I knew deep down that I didn't want to be a victim. But of course, how I didn't know.
Yeah.
But somehow, and I think that's, you always have to kind of like journal. I love journaling, writing down what went what went right. We always focus
Mhm.
on what went wrong, what is wrong, but what did go right? I mean, the fact that you maybe have beautiful kids or a beautiful dog and a
Mhm.
loving relationship with someone, or a job that you like, or a hobby that you like, or a, a view that you like, and then just give yourself, celebrate that, give yourself credit for that. And once you build more of those credibility for yourself,
Mhm.
like, hey, I did that, or oh, I passed that test, uh, that kind of builds the trust muscle. And then at some point it's just like being in a roller coaster, like, woohoo, I just have to uh really trust, because I did this and this and this, and I cannot control it anyways.
Mhm.
Like, for example, things with my kids that I would like to see different. But I just have to trust them too,
Mhm.
and trust life, and that it somehow always will turn right. Either we have to learn a hard lesson if you want to learn it,
Mhm.
and eventually also believe what is meant for me will come to me.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and but with that are unfortunately also the shitty things.
Mhm. Right, 100%. And just like it's amazing how much we can think we have control over our lives by doing certain behaviors and keeping the structure and everything. But it's like the more we try to grip, the less control we really do have, and we realize
Yeah.
that. And it becomes that fear thing. But yeah, I mean, just letting go and allowing yourself to flow with life, it does go so much better. But it's a journey. I think sometimes you almost have to go through all the pain of trying
Yes.
to
Oh,
grip and
yeah.
control to realize like
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it can be really, really challenging. So I appreciate you sharing your journey with self-trust because I think that's something that you're completely right. It is like that elusive word again, like just
Yeah.
trust yourself
Yeah.
as if it's an easy thing to do. And
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when you've had beliefs that maybe have told you differently throughout your
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. For someone who's listening right now and they're maybe in that victim mentality, they think that like life is happening to them. They're seeing like their bank account, their relationships, everything feels like it's just falling apart and they're waiting for the next shoe to drop. What would be one thing that they could bring into their world to help them make a shift and seeing things differently?
For me, it has been like listening to guided meditations,
Mhm,
and I think journaling is just what I just said. Like
mhm,
we always focus on the bad, but I'm sure
yeah,
there is something that is really good in your life that you don't realize.
mhm,
Even the fact that, yeah, that like you have a pet or children
mhm,
or a job, or I mean there's so many things to be grateful for, and we're not never taught that, and we're
yeah,
so focused on the control that we also forget to enjoy things.
mhm,
So I think, yeah, what I did at one point was making a list left, right. What do I not like in my life?
mhm,
How would I like it to be? How would I like it to feel?
mhm.
And definitely one thing I always recommend to people is just heal the traumas. Find a coach, find a person, or even a friend that you trust, or talk about things and really face the limiting belief, the stories that you tell yourself,
Yeah.
because that is usually what is getting you into that mindset or situations that you don't like.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have also many things in my life that I, well, of course, cannot control, and I wish they would be different.
Mhm.
But I'm not focusing on that. I've learned that over the years,
Mhm.
and I think just giving yourself grace and point out the little victories you made,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
from that point on, um, starting to build that and have a manifestation list or something, and
Mhm.
the little things that come through. And if you have trouble with money, have have a money coach. I mean, I was also a shopaholic, you know. I had no worth of money and stuff, so I had to learn to look at my credit card, what I would, okay, I had no clue.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just have to face those things if we want to improve them. We
Mhm.
just have to
Yeah.
be aware of them. And
Mhm.
even when we don't like it, there's a lot we're not going to like. And there comes the self-love again, is then giving yourself grace. And okay, I do that. Oh yeah, yeah, I do that pattern. I had many patterns in my life,
Yeah.
and still there, it's never ending. Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, I've done that before this,
Mhm.
and I think that is huge when you're in victim mode, to step out of that, to become aware of those things and wanting to acknowledge it and see it, and
Yeah.
then know, okay, hey, I can change this.
Mhm.
I was in my late 40s when I drastically started to change things.
Mhm.
And it's not that I was born lucky. I
Mhm.
knew nobody when I came to Canada.
Mhm.
And so I did it all, and everybody can do that. And
Mhm.
I had so many limiting beliefs and such a low self-worth. And so if I can do it, Anybody can do it with little steps and acknowledging, hey, okay, I do that. Yeah, I'm not perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, how can we change it? I mean, we have Google nowadays, we have AI. You can look anything up and you can get a coach, talk with someone, and just face it. Yeah,
Mhm.
face the
Yeah.
things.
Absolutely. Things grow in the dark. It's like once you shine the light on them, they can't go
Oh, yeah,
anymore. And it's like
yeah,
that's so powerful to realize that like you have the opportunity and like you're a testament to that, that you can make changes at any time
yeah,
and really transform your whole life. But it's just
yeah,
taking a step forward and approaching it with
yeah,
curiosity and seeing like what can my life become when I actually face the truth of what I'm experiencing. It's so powerful. But so resonate with that. I mean, for a moment in my life, very much that victim mentality, and I had so much to be grateful for. I could not see a thing. I couldn't see
yeah.
any of it. I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did I not see all this? It's like it's amazing how much it shrouds your vision
Oh,
in life
yeah,
when you're in the thick of it. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you're right on. It's like the muscle though, like when you start to deliberately focus on just the tiniest things, even if it's like a
yeah,
flower in the grass, like you start small and it
yeah,
builds. You start to see more of it. It's
yeah,
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it is. And it can be very little. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back, so, the version of you today, if you had to share advice to the past version of yourself, what's one thing you would tell that girl in your past to help her journey be smoother? Or not even smoother, just help her along the way because it's part of the rocky road that makes you who you are. But what would you tell her?
Yeah. Yeah, I told myself in those inner child meditations, meeting her, I told her, like, you know what, your life is it's turning out all okay, it's turning out beyond your imagination.
Mm,
And also, I tell her, you told yourself a lot of lies, and there were also people around you that told you lies and that were straight out mean to you.
mm,
Yeah, I had some people can just be mean, and that is very unfortunate. But if you feel low self-worth, you just let that happen. I was a doormat. I was also a people pleaser.
mhm,
And so I tell her that, and I know now better. And I also unfortunately had to let go of some people that did not have my best interest in their interests. So once you start to see your self-worth, you start to realize that too. And then it's just better to surround yourself with people that really do respect you. And even at 50, I realized for some person, oh, that person never really saw
mhm.
me, respected me. And yeah, then it was like, okay, we're done. And just give her the inner my younger version a big hug and a little cry together
Yeah.
about the situation and how lonely she felt. And yeah, I tell her, okay, you know what? Your life is turning out beyond a-okay.
Yeah, it's so powerful just to speak that version because only you know where you were in
Yeah,
that place,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
nuances and the depth of the emotions that you were experiencing. So it's so powerful to have this version of you to go back to that. And it's amazing when you look back on when those moments when you do have low self-worth of like the scraps that you accepted in your life and the people that
yeah,
you let put whatever thoughts and
yeah,
energies onto you and you just take them and you take them personally at that time because you think that that is your
yeah,
truth. It's
yeah,
amazing. And I appreciate you sharing that. Like, sometimes there are relationships that do have to go away in order for you to
yeah,
be the fullest version of yourself. And
yeah,
that can be a really challenging part. And as you
yeah,
evolve, you see more of that because you see what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And sometimes it comes from the people that you thought you were closest with
yeah,
in your life, which
yeah,
is like
yeah,
dumbfounding because you're like, my gosh, I thought you cared for me, but you cared
yeah,
for the version that was self-sacrificial. It's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, and how do you navigate that? Like, because I know that's something that as we do our own work, a lot of that is like projections from other people and their
Yeah.
inner world. It's not your inner world. But how do you stay like solid and grounded in yourself when maybe sometimes those relationships are being affected?
Yeah, I did it the first time actually in my late 30s. I cut off contact with a sibling,
Hmm.
and it was just so draining to me, and I was very broken at the time, but I could make that this I could like recognize, okay, this is just making me so drained, and that person is so jealous of every success I have, and I just said like, okay, we're not gonna invite for Christmas anymore. I'm just done with it, and with the hypocrisy, and of course the society makes you feel like, other family made me feel bad.
Hmm.
My husband stood 100% behind me because he felt it too. And other people said, no, you can't do that. It's your family. And I just knew, I just trust, we all have that intuition in us, but we're kind of told to not trust it. Luckily in my life, I have somehow trusted it with some decisions, and then too. And now looking back, that was the best decision I could. It was so, I'm so proud of that version, that broken version of myself then, that she did that. That I can get tears in my eyes now. And it was just so good to heal further.
Mhm.
And well, that was my first step. And then it just, by surprise, it happened again,
Mhm.
with a friend group later, and another person. And when you heal and when you take less shit, yeah, you really start to see like how people treat you.
Yeah.
And of course I was a victim in that. I played a part too,
Mhm.
but I cannot play that part anymore. So and oftentimes those dynamics cannot change anymore, because that other person always sees you as that old version, and they don't like the new version. They
Mhm.
So for me the best thing was to just yeah, cut that off. And it hurts, and that hurts, and you have to allow the, I write it down, and allow grief, allow all those sad feelings. I think that's an important part of life too, is to grieve grieve it, and be angry, and all those things you have to go through. But it definitely can be done, and sometimes it's just the best for your own growth and mental health to take those steps.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing because it takes absolute courage to stand in your power and realize that your energy is sacred and you're not willing to sacrifice that for someone who doesn't see how sacred that is. So
Yeah,
it's so courageous and what a testament to the younger version of yourself and the inner child that's saying like, "Oh, I finally feel safe. Like, look at her protecting me." It's so
yeah,
amazing that like again, like how healing that is when you finally like stand your ground and realize like you're worthy of more, that it's just so solidifying and to
yeah,
realize that you don't have to accept certain behaviors and that you can really allow yourself to feel the way you desire in your life. And
yeah, yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
I appreciate you saying how society also looks at that because there's a lot of backlash with that. And you're, not supposed to cut people off. And
yeah,
you're,
yeah.
and then maybe you're the problem, they'll say,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, oh yeah,
you
yeah,
get all the things and you
oh
say
yeah,
like you have to stand so
yeah,
solidly in your truth and know
yeah,
like I know what's right for me and
yeah,
let people talk. They can
yeah,
misunderstand me. So much
yeah.
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I really learned throughout my life, especially uh, going to Canada in my 30s, is to advocate for yourself. Like
Yeah.
I had to learn to advocate for my kids in school, and
Mhm.
of course for me being in a new country. And then when you let go of people, you're advocating for yourself too. In my Lyme disease, I had to advocate for myself to get the diagnosis, find the right doctor.
Mhm.
That's really something, even though I felt unworthy
Mhm.
because people had told me I was, right, made me feel that that's one thing that's so important too. If you know you know, your gut, you know, something,
Mhm.
I don't take this, and
Yeah.
always go after it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with like being loyal to yourself,
Yeah.
because it's only when you betray yourself that's when you make those decisions that you regret, because you relinquish your energy and your power outside yourself to something
Yeah.
that you thought was greater than yourself, but it never
Yeah.
was. And so there's so much power when you can just stand in your truth and know what
Yeah.
you're worthy of. And
Yeah.
I so appreciate you sharing that, because it's so vulnerable to share some of those aspects of the journey. And that I think sometimes people are like, oh, on my healing journey, and it's like butterflies and sunshine, but there's like deep grief, there's deep, tough moments, a lot
Yeah.
of emotions that you feel, and you have to sit through them and put the mirror
Yeah.
on yourself over and over and
Yeah.
over again. That it is a really challenging process to heal a lot of those wounds. But would you say, and I probably know the answer, but would you say it was worth it looking at the
Oh,
other end?
yeah. Yeah. Like
Mhm.
it just completely changed my life. It changed. I could have never dreamed as a girl. That's what my sister-in-law said in June when I was visiting in Europe. She's like, could you ever dreamed as a girl that you're basically doing what you, but could you imagine this would come true? And I'm like, no, I couldn't, because I didn't believe in myself. And I believe all the successes I have are because I'm constantly on that healing, peeling journey. And I
Mhm.
actually look forward to go into a meditation when I know that someone, for example, triggered me or something happened, and I'm like, okay, this is a mirror for
Mhm.
me. Hey, this is exactly what I do too. And
Yes.
then I'm sometimes looking forward to getting into the, you know, the childhood story, and
Mhm.
like I'm just asking, okay, let me discover what's going on here. I
Mhm.
love that now, you know, and diving into those shadows, and that's I created a talk about that actually. It's called From Shadow to Shine. And
Mhm.
I just enjoy the healing journey, and it's so worth it because everything changed in my life.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's amazing. It's like sometimes when we just look at the human realm, we're like, this sucks, like it's actually bad. But it's like when you can gain that bigger perspective, the soul perspective, and be like, okay, I see why I'm dealing with this. I see why I'm in the middle of this. I see what's on the other side of this. Like you just
Yeah.
can understand all the pieces, all the dynamics, and why it's there, and that it all is there to help you align
Yeah.
with your path. And it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough for everything you share. There's so much wisdom in this and your journey and everything you've been through. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and where you are today. Because I think it's just through these stories that other people can relate and understand, and be like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm in this part of this. And there is hope for that for me on the other side. So I'm so grateful for everything you shared. And
Yeah.
someone who wanted to connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, well, I want to thank you too for giving me your platform to share, because I feel that's my life mission, is to show people where I come from and where I am now, and that
Yeah.
anybody can do it. And I just want it to be motivational. People can look me up on Instagram. I think that's my main platform. I have all my links to events that are happening. I'm going to speak on a couple of things in the next coming months. And so, yes, please look me up on Instagram, say hi in my DMs, and yeah, I would love to connect.
Very good. I'll put
True,
everything in
true
the show notes.
Yeti. Yeah,
Yes, I'll definitely put in the
yeah,
show
yeah,
notes. Definitely connect me, Yeti. I'm so,
yeah,
so grateful again. This is, I know, going to make a difference in someone's life and is going to help them just get that next step, the
yeah,
next breadcrumb on their journey. So I just
yeah,
really appreciate everything you shared. And again, for anyone, if you resonate with this, share it with someone who could also benefit from this. It's only through sharing these messages that we can all evolve and expand in
yeah,
our consciousness and our journey in life today. So thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, thank you.